Okay, in this video, we move on and we're going to move away from using VLOOKUPs and starting to use and setting up the data model. And so the data model, remember where this exists in Excel is that you need to add in the Power Pivot add-in. So within Excel, you hopefully have Power Pivot up here at the top, and that is the data model right there where it says Manage It. If you don't have Power Pivot, what you need to do is go under the options, add-ins, go down here to COM or compile add-ins, and make sure that you've got Power Pivot selected. And then once you've done that, you should see this Power Pivot. It should only happen one time per machine. Once that machine is added that in, you should be golden. So now we're going to go to it. I'm going to go to Manage the Data Model, and from previous work using data, get and transform, we've got all of these different data sets that we brought in. We brought in the transaction. Ultimately, we're going to wind up using this one, but let's just use this one now to mimic the example from the previous video. And here are the customers. So I would need to tie these together. I need to tie these together. So let's go now to, instead of being at the, so rather than being at the, so I go up here to the home, and over here to the right, we're in the data view, or right there, it says data view down here at the grid view. I'm going to go to the diagram view, which is this. So look what happens when you click this. What we have now are these data sets, and they're just sitting out here in this virtual environment. We have customer, we have transactions. Make it a little wider so we can see this. We got product lookup, store lookup, calendar lookup. We've got whatever this one is, some more transactions. We probably have some more over. Anything that we've brought in. Yeah, there's another one. We've got all these. So what we need to do is link these together. And what I'm going to do is put the lookup tables on top, because we always want to think of data flowing down or the filters flowing down. So anything that's a lookup. And remember, we name these, but the key to that these are lookups is that we have a field that has a key in it, a primary key, which means we have a field where a value in that field occurs exactly one time, like the customer ID, the product ID, the store ID. We'll do one for date. And then these are transaction tables where we don't have a field that occurs exactly once. And right now we're just going to use this one. Later on, we're not going to use this one. We're going to wind up using this, which has both years in it. But what I want to do is take my customer ID and tie it to this customer ID, because they're related. It's the same pieces of information. It occurs exactly one time here, and it occurs more than one time here. This is has a primary key. This is the primary key. So look what you're going to do. You're going to left click and drag it over to this one. And look what happens. It creates this line, and you can see this arrow actually telling you how the filters occur. Where we have a 1 here, it correctly knows that that's a 1, and it correctly knows, it puts an asterisk, which means many. And that's it. It now has these tied together. Now, well, we could continue to do this whole thing. We could do product ID. So we could bring product ID and bring it in like this. Store ID. And we could also do stock date or transaction date, I think is probably what, or excuse me, date, and tie that to transaction date like this. And now we have built, rather than using VLOOKUPs, we now have this ability to filter from these ones to a many. Well, once you've done this, now we can start answering questions on how to, doing analysis and queries without having a real large data set. And I'll do that in the next video.